Hello and welcome back to the SRAM Downhill Southeast series. We're here in wild and wonderful West Virginia at Snowshoe Mountain for round number 5 of 6 for our 2022 series. I'm Wassum. We've got beautiful weather this weekend. Let's get you straight into the action at Snowshoe. Well, this is the 4th year we have been here at Snowshoe for Downhill Southeast in our 6 seasons. And this year, the Snowshoe race falls in round number 5. We've got some really tight races for the overall in this year's series, and Snowshoe will be a deciding factor in who takes the series crowns. Well, there's so much more to each Downhill Southeast round than just the racing, so we try to bring you guys a face for each round of the series. Here at Snowshoe, we've got Zen Clements from the bike park crew to tell us a little bit more about what makes this place so special. Zen, how are you doing this morning?
Doing awesome, man. Feeling great. Good weekend ahead of us.
Yeah, we had a lot of rain last year at the Downhill Southeast here at Snowshoe, but quite a different weather scenario this weekend. How's the course shaping up?
It's shaping up super nicely. I mean, we did have a good bit of rain yesterday morning. Just nice to have a good forecast in the weekend for a race at Snowshoe. Don't happen very often.
Yeah, and you've seen all conditions here at Snowshoe, and you actually live here. Tell us a little bit about how you ended up here in Snowshoe.
Well, shoot, I grew up about 3 hours south, still in West Virginia, and did a little bit of racing cross country when I was younger, got into biking at a younger age. And I think the first time I came up here was probably around 10, 11 years old. It was a year that they brought up Monster Park. It's kind of this big free ride event because back in the early 2000s, that's kind of what Snowshoe was built off of, was free rides. So came up for that and just fell in love with the whole thing, you know, so kind of transitioned over to downhill a little bit. It's hard not to catch the bug, you know.
Well, and you work on the mountain, you're on the trail crew. When did you get on staff here at Snowshoe?
2018. I think was the summer I moved up here. Started out just in village activities, just seeing all the bikes, seeing all the environment, you know, everyone going crazy over it. And I got to sweep some of the courses with the enduro, so it was just cool to see all that and experience all that for the first time, you know.
Like, what all does it take to get a bike park like Snowshoe ready for the season?
I want to say like a 10-month-a-year thing. You know, we get a couple months off to focus on the winter time, but you know, running up to winter opening, and then even before we close for the winter, we're always thinking about, you know, trying to plan for events and everything coming into the summertime, and then getting the snow off the trails. You know, you never know. Here in West Virginia, we get a lot of our snows late in the season. You know, tend to get dumped on in March or April, so at times we're blowing snow off the trails just to prepare, you know.
So, you know, about an hour and a half before you arrive at Snowshoe, no matter where you're driving from, your cell signal goes off. So when you arrive here on the mountain, you're completely unplugged and you're surrounded by this beautiful landscape, and there's all sorts of terrain. Yeah, how does our setting impact your riding experience when you make it up here to Snowshoe?
You just expect the wild and wonderful. I mean, you really never know what you're going to run into out here from the nature. You got the wildlife, bear, deer out here you might run into. It's always beautiful. You never know what the weather's going to be like. You never know what you're going to get out here.
If someone came in from out of town and, you know, they wanted to go straight for the gnarliest trail on the mountain, you know, they're ready, they've got the big travel bike, where would you take them?
Shoot, probably this racetrack we're about to hit right now, you know, Hairball, lower Hairball. It's a double black diamond, one of the only double black diamonds on this side, so people have been racing it since the 90s, so, and it ain't changed much, it's just got rockier, so it's definitely one of the gnarliest laps.
Well, and you guys continue to add new terrain in the bike park. I know 2 years ago you added dirt beaver. I think it was last year you added whistle pig. Like, what's the experience for folks when they come up to ride the Snowshoe Bike Park? What can they expect to find in the terrain?
I mean, we want to have a little bit of everything for them. You know, we want to make the experience better and better. You know, we've always had plenty of gnar. You know, we've had trails on Western Territory, black diamond expert type stuff since back in the 90s. So when they started building the park in the early 2000s, in the late 90s, you know, we wanted to really try and make stuff to, you know, work for everyone. You know, stuff that everyone could ride. And then in the later years, you know, we're just feeding off what we see on social media, other places, and going to other races and seeing what they're doing with their tracks and stuff, and, you know, taking notes and bringing it back to here.
Well, and you've taken all those notes from other places and you've put on world-class race events. We've had the World Cup here. What's it like to prep those tracks? What do you guys do specifically to take it up a notch for the World Cup?
Big cleanup, you know, just trying to make it everything spick and span, open up things for the cameras, for the audience. You know, it's almost like having a daggone Super Bowl audience in the middle of West Virginia, so we got to make room for everybody. Having this race in particular is kind of helping us out a lot, because, you know, we're racing pretty much the exact World Cup track from last year and that we're going to have this year, so it's going to be nice and cleaned up already. All the tracks ridden in good. So
when the racers get on track on Sunday here at Downhill Southeast, where do you think the most critical sections are for these guys to nail a good run?
Well, of course, always that last little rock garden, the flat rock garden bit before the flat ski slope pedal. That's always a real good differentiator between times. We've opened up a couple new lines in there just to see what people do. You know, give people a shot at trying something else, trying to find something smoother, but there's no easy way out of there. So
yeah, that final rock section has played a role, I mean, in most of the major races here. The U.S. National Championship,
oh, yeah.
We've seen it live on the Red Bull feed. In the World Cups, you know, folks losing all their speed in that final rock section before the sprint. But there's also plenty more rocks above that in lower hairball. We're going to have some good angles in there, so we'll see what folks are able to pull out as they try to keep that speed.
Oh yeah, I mean, when people get up to speed, especially for race day, you know, you're pushing in sections where you don't even really know what's going to happen with the speed, you know. But shoot, Roberto's rock, that's one of those that people just can easily oversend, especially going at race speed. And when you're shooting that far to flat, you know, who knows what's going to happen. I've seen World Cup guys blow up down there and throw away their race run too.
Well, let's talk a little bit about your racing. You came into Downhill Southeast in 2019, right?
Mm-hmm. That was my first season.
Yeah, you had some good races in 2019, and you actually took the win here in Snowshoe in the Cat 1 class. I believe your time would have been 6th in pro, and then you've had some good races this year, taking a win at Massanutten. So what's your experience been like so far doing Downhill Southeast races?
It's been incredible. I mean, it's such a welcoming environment, you know, especially for first-time racers or people getting into the sport or people just wanting to hang around and keep racing as long as they can. You know, there's a place for everyone here, you know, and I love it.
Well, you're going to mix it up in the pro class this weekend, and you're racing against the top dogs. So are you excited to get in there and mix it up in front of your home crowd in Snowshoe?
Oh, yeah, super excited. I mean, chose a good time to do it. I feel like here's the good place, you know, and there's a ton of good competition in Cat 1 this year, too.
Well, the field is stacked, so do you have a prediction for pro men? You know, Nico's here, he's firing, he's got a brand new bike, just built it up in the pits.
Oh, yeah.
Steve Estabrook, our series leader, has been on a tear this year. Who do you think could come out on top for the pro men?
On a track like this, it's open, it could be anyone. It'll be interesting to see. I think anyone's got a chance at this one.
Yeah, man, well, we can't wait to see you out on track. The weather's great and the track's running fast, so hopefully we'll see you down at the finish line on a good run.
Yes, sir. Look forward to it. Appreciate y'all having me, dude.
Yeah, glad to have you.
Good being a part of it, man.
Before we get into this weekend's racing action, let's take a closer look at this track nestled in the Monongahela National Forest, dropping 2,000 vertical feet off the peak of Snowshoe Mountain, just over 4,400 feet above sea level.
Round number 5 of the SRAM Downhill Southeast series takes us from New Jersey down into the heart of the Appalachian Mountains in Pocahontas County, West Virginia to Snowshoe Resort. Our course here for Snowshoe is on the Western Territory, dropping 2,000 vertical feet and just over 1.5 miles. As you can see here, we've got 3 different sectors for the racers to tackle. Right off the bat, when they leave the start gate, they're charging through a couple turns right into the classic Cupcake Road Gap. Lower down in Sector 1, racers will be navigating Upper Hairball. It's a series of tight, technical turns with multiple line options to keep your speed. Sector 2 features Lower Hairball, one of the most heinous rock sections on the World Cup course here in Snowshoe. This rock garden's a little bit flatter in some sections. Carrying speed and making sure to keep air in your tires is going to be paramount. And just when you thought you were out of the woods, you hit the Rocksecutioner section, the last critical rock garden in Lower Hairball. If you lose all your speed there, well, it's going to be a tough time getting back up to pace in Sector 3. It starts with a grass sprint and then right into the triple jump section. There are many different line options over a couple different rollers and dirt features in triple jump, and whatever speed you carry through those jumps will bring you down to the finish corral.
Well, by the time racers got on track Saturday morning, the rain from Thursday night had almost dissipated. There was still a little bit of slickness on the rocks in Lower Hairball, but that wasn't stopping riders from charging when they hit their seeding runs.
Well, here are your results from yesterday's seeding session for our Pro Cat 1 women. 5th place was Lily Driver out of Taylor, South Carolina with a 5:31. Xana Logar put down a 5:09, good enough for 4th place. And just about 14 seconds up on Logar was Maisie Hayden, making her return to Downhill Southeast racing for this season. It was a 4:54 for Hayden. Abigail Ronca, who's sitting in 2nd place in the series overall, seated in 2nd place, 5 seconds up on Maisie Hayden. And it was our 2021 Downhill Southeast Series champion, Caroline Wassum, making her return to racing after last year's Snowshoe World Cup, who came out on top of seeding, 6 seconds up on Abby Ronca with a 4:44.93. Well, here's Lily Driver to start us off on our Pro Cat 1 women. She put down a 5:31.52 in seeding. Riding for the Gravity Academy, they've been out in force this year with the SRAM Downhill Southeast Series. Lily going big right there over the Cupcake Road Gap. A nice way to get the juices pumping at the start of your race run. Lily now working her way down into Upper Hairball. Nice rock feature right here. Pretty technical to hit when you're going at race pace. So these are some of the same turns that racers were navigating at both of the World Cups that have been here in Snowshoe in 2019 and 2021. Driver through split number 1, 7.96 seconds up on Jordan Bell. Into split number 2. This is the approach to Lower Hairball. A little opportunity to take a breath and get ready to go rock smashing for about 1.5 minutes. Driver getting into the rocks here in Lower Hairball. Paramount to keep your speed. Almost all of split 2 is in these technical, almost flat rock gardens. There definitely is pitch and gravity in here. The final rock section, the Rocksecutioner section, just when you don't have any more gas in your arms, it's one of the roughest bits of track on the whole course. And now it's green by 23.31 for Driver. So 4:55.2 at split number 2 into the triple jump section, this final woods. Riders definitely feeling a sense of relief by the time they make it here to the triple jump section. So Driver went 5:31 in seating, and she's going to drop some time off of that. It's a 5:34.36. And here's Xana Logar, Lily Driver's teammate for the Gravity Academy. She qualified with a 5:31. So you're going to need to drop some time off that if she wants to best the time of Lily Driver here in finals. Logar with some nice confidence there off the Cupcake Road Gap. From right here in West Virginia, so you got to think Xana's had some time here on the slopes at Snowshoe. Diving into the turns in Upper Hairball. Split 1 encompassing all of the start and Upper Hairball to the big World Cup berms. Oh, wow, and it's 9.38 up for Logar. A great first split. Oh, and I love the pace she's carrying right here. Able to pick the bike up over some of those square edge rock hits. And now Xana will try her hand at the lower hairball rock gardens. Had 9 seconds to play with there at split number 1. You can see she's got a strong, confident riding style. So many rocks to navigate here in split number 2. And she's made it to the Rocksecutioner section. This will be the end of split 2. Yep, right there, tight to the tree, and it's so hard to nail that line. So Xana getting off the pedals right there, gonna have to try to get her speed back. Well, and she's still up. Logar is still up by 11 seconds, so actually extending even with that little bobble exiting lower hairball. So Xana trying to continue to put time into Lily Driver at the bottom of this course. Well, let's see what Logar can do. Xana riding for the Gravity Academy. She's going to cross green with a 5:23.59, 10.98 seconds into the lead. And here's Maisie Hayden riding for Defiant Racing out of North Clarendon, Vermont. Qualified with a 4:54 in third place. Maisie back on the downhill bike and so happy to be back at the races. Had an off-season shoulder surgery to get her shoulder right. Had been battling that for the past couple of seasons. And I know she's excited to feel at full strength and be back here at Snowshoe. Maisie had a second place finish at the Mountain Creek National just a week ago and was 14th at the World Cup here in Snowshoe in 2019. Oh, you can see Maisie throwing it hard into that left-hand corner.
Yeah, you got it.
And it's a 1:43.08, 9.12 into the green for Maisie Hayden. So she's on the move here, entering lower hairball. So nice for riders to hit this section nice and dry. Typically there's some level of moisture, whether it be the morning dew or whether it be residual rainfall from earlier in the week, but we've got just about perfect conditions down here, so I know Maisie will be looking to let those brakes go, carry some pace through these flat rock sections. And here's Hayden into the Rocksecutioner. Bit of a new inside line available with the taping here at Downhill Southeast, and Maisie cleans that up nicely. And wow, it's a huge lead for Maisie Hayden. She's under 4 minutes there at split number 2. So just a little bit more trail between Maisie Hayden and the finish line. Surely it's going to be green. And it looks to challenge the top seeding time from yesterday. Maisie Hayden going to cross the line with a 4:36.28. That's 8 seconds faster than our top qualifying time yesterday from Caroline Wassum. What a run right there from Hayden. Definitely could see the pace that she was carrying through lower hairball, and that had to help put down that 4:36. Here's Abigail Ronca from Bethlehem, Pennsylvania. She was our second seeded rider yesterday. We've already seen that time come down by Maisie Hayden, so let's see what kind of pace Ronca can find on track for finals. She's had an incredible run this season, just 17 years old. She's been third, and second twice here in the Downhill Southeast so far in our 4-round series. And she took the win at the 17 to 18 division at the Mountain Creek National. So very much on form coming into round number 5 of the SRAM Downhill Southeast.
Yeah, Abby.
Little stall right there in the corner, but Ronca on the pedals to get back up to pace. And she is back of Maisie Hayden, 3.61 into the red on split 1. Good pace right there through the flat rocks, and lower hairball is waiting for Abigail Ronca. She's got to turn around 3.61 from that first split. Looking good, looking composed. Plenty of opportunities to lose time if you get bumped off your line. As Ronca dives into a critical rock garden, and now she's into the rock executioner section. And I like the pace she has there on the inside line. What will the splits say? And Ronca has clawed back more time. She's just 1.22 back now on Maisie Hayden. So this will be a close one. She's got to time up the rollers here in the triple jump section. Well, I gotta say, the pace is looking good here for Ronca. Will she be able to pull that back? She needs to pull back just over a second, and she's gonna do it. She's gonna be 500ths into the green, just nips Maisie Hayden at the line, and she was building pace all the way down that run. Needed to make up over a second in the final split. Had a great run through that triple jump section, and Ronca will put it into the top time with one rider left to go. And our final rider is Caroline Wassum out of Mooresville, North Carolina. Her seating time from yesterday was a 4:44, but that time has come down already. Wassum is fired up and ready for this race. The first time she's been able to compete between the tape since the World Cup here in Snowshoe last year. She knows this track well. She was our overall series winner last year in Downhill Southeast. She's also the reigning U.S. silver medalist from Downhill National Championships. Has competed in a number of different races. Wow, look at the line right there. Super far inside to avoid getting pushed over that turn. That's got to be worth a little bit of time. Oh, really smooth through that left-hander where we've seen some hard compression so far here in our Pro Cat 1 women's field. And it's 4.5 seconds up on split number 1 for Wassum. That is huge. She's pulling from all her experience racing here in Snowshoe throughout the years. Oh, nice and tidy through that flat section, not having to put a pedal stroke in. Plenty of pace as she drops into lower hairball. And this has got to be some of the best conditions that Caroline has ever ridden this section, and look at her. Oh, just right down the gut there. Sweeping left-hander and then right across the top of those off-camber rocks. This is looking like a great run for Caroline. Oh man, runs into a huge hole there in the rock executioner section, and she's on the gas. Oh, that margin has come down just slightly, but she's still 3.2 up heading into the triple jumps. So Caroline Wassum with 3.2 to play with, sending it deep right there on those middle rollers. Oh, and a hard hit as well coming down to the finish line. Caroline just got to make it through this last straight. It was a 3.2 second advantage, and she will cross the line fastest. A 4:33.38, 3 seconds into the green, dropping 12 seconds off her seating time from yesterday. Great run there from Caroline, and great riding here in the Pro Cat 1 women's class. Seating times coming down. These ladies really stepped it up here on finals day. And here is your Pro Cat 1 women's podium for round number 5 of the SRAM Downhill Southeast. Maisie Hayden back in business here on the Downhill Southeast series, going to take third place with a 4:36.28. Abigail Ronca with her second place so far in this year's series, just 500ths ahead of Maisie Hayden. But it was all Caroline Wassum today, taking the win by a couple seconds over Abigail Ronca, also dropping 12 seconds off her seating time. I know she is happy and excited to be back here racing at the SRAM Downhill Southeast.
I just had a lot of fun, just tried to keep it smooth. It's my first race back since September last year at the World Cup here, so it feels pretty nice. Yesterday during seating, conditions were perfect. They couldn't have been better. It was the most fun I've ever had riding here. Today, it was a little bit loose. Things were definitely running faster, but they got a little wild. So it was all about controlling your speed and not going too fast. I didn't put any expectations on myself this weekend. I've been watching the races. I know how fast the girls are now. So I definitely did not expect to be on top of the podium. So yeah, I'm stoked to be on top because those girls are flying. So before this weekend, I had no idea where I was at. I I haven't been doing much training. I've been on the downhill bike a handful of times. I was at Massanutten and just went for a couple rides and felt horrible, like my ankle kind of hurt. Now I'm like looking ahead, I'm like, okay, now I can do these upcoming races maybe, and yeah, just see how it goes, have some fun. I will be at Beach Mountain. It's less than 2 hours from my house, so I kind of have to go. It's my home mountain.
Well, after our race here in Snowshoe, it's Abigail Ronca who is jettisoned to the top of our series overall point standings after gaining 23 points for that second place finish. She's got 111 total points. That's going to put her ahead of Shell Peugeot. Zana Logart moving up into third with Lily Driver just 2 points behind her in fourth place. Here are the results from yesterday's seating session for the pro men. Zen Clements from Snowshoe, West Virginia, seating in 10th in his first pro race here in Downhill Southeast. We also got Conrad Harner, the 2020 Costa Rican national champ, seating in 7th. And take a look at the tight times, 2nd through 4th. Jake Kahn back to Steve Estabrook, separated by just 3 seconds. And then the time gap to first, 20 seconds to Nico Malali, running for Frameworks, putting that rig in first place in seating. Well, Zen Clements will start us off with the top 10 men here in finals. Puts on a 414.17 in seating. Zen is fired up to do it in front of the home crowd here in Snowshoe. His first pro race in Downhill Southeast. Took a win earlier this year at Massanutten in Cat 1 and also won the Cat 1 race here in Snowshoe in 2021. That 2021 race in Snowshoe was a slop fest, so completely different conditions here. Clements railing that outside line. Oh, with a little rear wheel tap there. Yeah, that rock feature becomes sketchy when you get up to race pace. Well, Clements bobbing and weaving out and into these turns in upper hairball. He's going to just be 0.17 back, so a good split one there for Clements. Oh, Zen charging here through the rocks. Will be really familiar with lower hairball. He's on the trail crew here at Snowshoe, so he's a big part of putting these courses together for the World Cup. Make sure they're prepped for the best racers in the world. Oh, I love the high line right there from Clements. Skipping out over the rain rutted out holes in the middle of this track. And Zen still looking to be on good pace as he exits lower hairball. He's taking that inside line that's available here for the Downhill Southeast. So he's lost just a bit of time. Now he's 3.96 back as he digs deep there on the pedals. Clements soaking up everything there in the triple jump section. Oh no! Clements down hard. Oh, that's a high-speed section of track. That's gonna hurt. It's gonna hurt the time as well. Clements was less than 4 seconds back. Now he's gonna cross 5.2 back with a 4:11.29.
West Virginia coming across the finish line here in pro men. Kicking off.
And here's Ronnie Vance out of Estmont, Virginia. Vance letting the hair flow. Going to try to let it all hang out here in finals at Snowshoe. He was 4th at Massanutten and 5th in pro at the Tennessee National. Vance looking very smooth, carrying good pace off of Cupcake. Yeah, you really got to put in some cranks if you want to double that. You'll see some folks doubling that, some rolling it, and he's way on the inside. So Ronnie Vance way on the inside there in between rock drops. I got to think that's a good move. We saw Caroline Wassum do that at the end of the women's race. Well, what can Vance put together for split one? Oh, and he's going to be a second up. That's a good first split from Vance. Looking pretty lively on the bike. Held up just a bit from some holes. But how much does he have left in the tank for this lower hairball rock garden? Smooth entrance right there. Maybe not quite as smooth as Zen Clements. But Ronnie's still carrying good pace here through the Rocksecutioner section. Lots of folks opting for that inside line. Oh, and now he's 5 seconds up. So extended by 4 seconds for Ronnie Vance. Oh, and Vance will put it right over that big triple and a double out. So this is going to net him more time. Got to think he's going to be at least 6 seconds up here when he crosses the line. And Ronnie Vance will go fastest. No, maintains that same gap. So he's 4.94 into the green. It's a 4:01.72. A hot seat time for Ronnie Vance. Really loved that line he put together in between the rock drops and upper hairball. You can see he's right on the inside of the track, able to hold good pace, and he's into the hot seat. And here's Matt Nelson out of Asheville, North Carolina. Nelson came into seating in 8th. This is his first pro race at Downhill Southeast. He's had some great Cat 1 results. Won the Cat 1 race at Windrock and mixing it up with the pros here in Snowshoe for round number 5. Nelson tugging up right there, trying to get some backside. And Nelson on the main line right there. Just barely touching those wheels down. I got to think we're going to see somebody completely gap that rock feature in our next 8 riders. And Nelson's going to be 1 second back of Ronnie Vance. Plenty of time to be had, though, in lower hairball. If Matt Nelson's got the strength to find it. Nelson dropping into lower hairball. Bit of a steep right here, spin you straight into a flat rock garden. Nice and tidy. Oh, and a hard right-hander. Nelson dumping it in there deep. So what can he do to the time of Ronnie Vance? He was 1 second back getting into these rocks in lower hairball. And he's lost just about another second. It's 1.96 the deficit for Matt Nelson. It's going to be tall order down here to make that up in the triple jump section. Well, Nelson not messing about there in triple jump. He was in and out. It's going to be... Oh, is he going to be able to... No. The exact same margin, 1.96. So Matt Nelson not able to claw back time, but he'll go into second place. Well, here's Conrad Harner out of Costa Rica. He was the 2020 national champion in Costa Rica and had a 13th at the Continental Champs race in Costa Rica earlier this season. Oh yeah, Conrad throwing some nice style there off the cupcake gap. He's chasing that time of Ronnie Vance right now. Well, some interesting noises coming from Conrad's bike. Not sure if he ended up tweaking something in a crash earlier, if he's got a mechanical problem, but something's not quite right with that Mondraker. Oh, and a great high line. Conrad looking to have nice pace here up top. No, but he's 12 seconds back. Something huge must have happened off camera. So maybe that's the desperation that we're seeing in this speed right here from Conrad. Knew he made a mistake, so he's going to try to make up what he can. Well, you can see that front fender flapping around. That must be some damage from a mishap earlier in the run. Well, what can he put together down here in lower hairball? With a 12-second deficit at split number 1. Oh, you can see the dirt all over the kit. Dangling off the side of the bike there into that tight right-hander. And setting up for the inside line right there in the Rocksecutioner section. Well, time gap has stayed just about the same. 12.18 back for Conrad Harner. Still pulling for the big triple. Well, here's your 2020 Costa Rican national champ down through the finish line. And he's going to go 4:13.54, slotting into 4th place. Well, here's Cooper Pleba from Glenwood, New Jersey, qualified with a 4:03.87. Ride for Chain Gang Racing. His best finish so far in the Downhill Southeast Series this year was at Massanutten. Came in the top 10. He was 8th place there at Mass. He has been busy on the bike this season. Oh, and looking down, no, looks like a mechanical problem right there for Cooper. And as you've seen, we definitely have a major pedal section, so that could be problematic later on. Shouldn't really affect him too much here in split number 1. Well, he did look for a pedal stroke out of that turn, so maybe everything's okay with the drivetrain. Oh, well, he's way back. 17.9. Yeah, you can see him sitting down, so something not quite right for Cooper Pleba. Not going to be his day to score another top 10 here in Downhill Southeast. Yeah, all out of sorts here. Trying to grab some pedals, but yeah, that bike not doing what he's asking it to do today. It is a lot to ask of your bike to put down a fast race run here at Snowshoe. It's the longest track that we're going to see on the Downhill Southeast circuit this year. And in just a little over a month's time, the world's fastest racers will be competing on essentially this exact same course, with a couple big features added in to keep it interesting. As Pleba looks down again. Yeah, he's shutting it down. Not the run he was looking for today at Snowshoe, but we hope to see him at Beach Mountain for the finals. Pleba going to make his way down to the finish line. And we will move into our top 5 seeded riders once Cooper Pleba crosses the line. Corey Jackson, Steve Estabrook, Cooper Rodriguez, Jake Kahn, and Nico Mullally. It's a 4:39.08 for Cooper Pleba. And here is Corey Jackson. His best seeding result yet at Downhill Southeast came in with a 4:02.68. He's at a base Virginia, does a ton of riding at Bryce Bike Park.
Hey, Corey.
Got his first top 10 in the pro class at Massanutten earlier this season. Was also top 10 at Mountain Creek. Jackson opting to soak up those rollers right there. Jackson again on that inside line in the open. Conditions have been improving every single day, so I expect the seating time to come down that we saw from Jackson yesterday. It was a 4:03. Oh, and he's 3 seconds up at split 1, so Corey is on the move this afternoon. It's his first year in the pro ranks at Downhill Southeast. Was our junior expert champ last year. Trying to get a couple hard pedals, keep the momentum up, entering lower hairball. Oh, I was liking what I'm seeing right there in that left-hander. Jackson just skipping over the top of the rocks. So you see this nice long shot. Jackson heading into more rocks and lower hairball. And going right down the gut, main line. So not opting for that inside, and he's extended. It's a 3:20.79 for Jackson, 7.96 into the lead over Ronnie Vance. Jackson cleanly over that triple, so not too much between Jackson and the finish line. Looks to be smashing that time of Ronnie Vance. And Jackson going to go into the lead with a 3:52.77. So that was actually 5 seconds faster than Jake Kahn's second place seating time from yesterday. And you could see in that run that Jackson was composed the entire way down, letting it go in the rocks and carrying that speed through the triple jump to the finish. Here is Steve Estabrook. Estabrook looking confident because he is our current series leader for the SRAM Downhill Southeast. Estabrook took a win earlier this season at Massanutten and has been right there in the mix on the podium or thereabouts at every single round. Estabrook riding for Defiant Racing. You'll see him out at some other races this year, maybe at the World Cup here at Snowshoe later in the season.
Steve.
Yeah, riders really have to get hard on the brakes after that rock feature to set up for these tight turns. Estabrook with a great line. Able to carry his pace. Let's see what split one says. Oh, and he's half a second up on Corey Jackson. Well, still lots to happen between here and the bottom, but I like what I see so far from Estabrook. Half second in the green. Couple pedals right there. Don't know if he needed those. He's got good pace. You see a cloud of dust kicking up. The track is continuing to dry out here at Snowshoe. These rocks have a ton of grip today, which is not the norm in Lower Hairball. Trail doesn't see a ton of traffic outside of the big races. I mean, understandably so. It's an incredibly technical rock garden. Estabrook making short work of it, opting for that inside line in the Rocksecutioner. Oh, but he's back now. He's lost 2.5 seconds to go 2 seconds into the red. That's going to be a lot of time to pull back on Corey Jackson in this last sector. Oh, but Estabrook letting it go. Definitely going for it down here. So the Defiant Racing rider, he had 2 seconds to make up at that last split. He'll make up, oh, just 200ths, and he'll go into second place with a 354.5. Well, here's Cooper Rodriguez. He seated in third yesterday at a Cary, North Carolina. Unfortunately, Cooper not going to be on the start line today. Had a huge crash in practice, injured his finger. So we hope to see Cooper back at the beach round for Downhill Southeast Finals. Definitely coming into his own here at the end of the season. And here is Jake Kahn. Jake seated in second yesterday with a 357.05 out of Oliver Springs, Tennessee. He's smiling because he is trying to do battle with Steve Estabrook for the series overall. Came into this race in second place, so he definitely has a target on Estabrook's back. He wants to finish ahead of Steve today and bring that battle for the overall to Beach Mountain. Kahn not holding back, full on sprinting there. Let's see where Kahn goes. He rails the outside as he looks to dive back into the woods here in Upper Hairball. And you can hear those brakes working hard. Kahn trying to shut it down, stay on a tight line in these Upper Hairball corners. Such a fun section of trail. Great racetrack here. Oh, he's a half second up. So Kahn is up on Corey Jackson's time. We also saw Estabrook up on Corey Jackson right there, though. So Jackson had an incredible second split and a double there from Kahn. Jake on the pedals, carrying nice pace as he dives into Lower Hairball. We saw Estabrook lose time to Jackson here, so what can Jake Kahn do? He's right down the center of the trail. Whips it around that right-hander. And this line is going to be crucial. Well, he's clean on the inside, so it looked like a decent run there through. Oh, and he runs wide on the turn, though. And that's going to cost him some time. Yep, he's going red. He is a second into the red on Corey Jackson. Kahn trying to pull that time back. Nice and smooth there over the triple. Smooth into these final turns as well. Still going to be a tall order to turn that around. Jake Kahn for Danny Cycles comes to the line, and he will go second. It's a 353.63. 1 second back on Corey Jackson. Jackson has definitely done something special in that bottom woods section. And here is your final rider. Nico Mullally riding for Frameworks Racing out of Pisgah Forest, North Carolina. It was a 337 for Mullally in seating. So riding in a class of his own this weekend. Just built up a brand new frame for this race. Continuing to test and tune that Frameworks rig. And Mullally will be on the gas. You can see him staying low there over that double. Nico also holding it tight in the open slope turn. And look at the nose press. So Mullally finding time anywhere he can. So high entering that left-hander. Well, Nico on a good run today. You know, he's just racing his ghost from seating essentially yesterday as he put 6.21 into Corey Jackson in the top split. Yeah, how many times has Nico flowed through that flat chundry section leading into lower hairball? Willing to bet these are some of the best conditions he's ever ridden this track in. Oh, throws it right there into the left-hander, high above all the holes. Nico with one rock garden left to go here in lower hairball. Yes, he will opt for that inside line. Be interesting to see if that is available at the World Cup at the end of July. Now it's 16 seconds into the green as Mullally is on the gas to finish off this run. And the pace is incredible from Mullally through the triple jump section. Misses all those compressions right there. And here is Nico Mullally taking the win. 3:35.01, takes 2 seconds off his seating time. 17.76 seconds into the rest of the field. We've got to take another look at that run. Nico just putting on a clinic in a lower hairball. So committed into that steep left-handed corner, and you can see the pace that it spits him out through into that next section. Not getting hung up in that tight right-hander either. And of course, the triple jump section. Nico prepping for the World Cup later this year. Excited to see what he can do against the best in the world on almost the same track right here in Snowshoe. Here's your Pro Men's podium. Jake Kahn putting his rig into third place with a 3:53.63, just over a second ahead of Steve Estabrook. He's going to like that. Second place was Corey Jackson, his first pro podium here in Downhill Southeast, a 3:52.77 for Jackson. And it was all Nico Mullally in finals. Put down a 3:35.01. Nico got that Frameworks rig working proper.
Race went pretty well. It dried up a lot throughout the weekend. Friday was slick, yesterday was a little better, and today was rolling really fast. So I had a pretty good run, a couple of little messy sections. I really wanted to use this weekend to practice for the World Cup that's coming up here. You rarely get a chance to run a World Cup track before the race, and here in race conditions, it was a good opportunity. So, especially at this venue, it's the only race in the United States that has a World Cup. So to run that track is something that a lot of the local guys come out here and watch the race, watch it on TV, and it's a pretty cool opportunity to, see Amari Pirion go through that rock garden and then them ride it themselves. So I think that's a cool thing that we can offer in the Southeast.
Well, it's going to be a tight one going to Beach Mountain in the series points overall. Steve Estabrook just 1 point ahead of Jake Kahn, so every second will matter at Beach Mountain. Corey Jackson in third place with 61 points along with Nico Mullally. So it'll be Estabrook, Kahn, Jackson, and Mullally vying for the top spots in our series overall at Beach Mountain.
Well, what a race day here at Snowshoe for round number 5 of the SRAM Downhill Southeast Series.
Well, we are down to one final round in this year's SRAM Downhill Southeast Series. Finals will be June 24th through 26th at Beach Mountain Resort in the high country of North Carolina. Registration is open, so go to downhillsoutheast.com, click on sign up, and get registered online for finals at Beach Mountain. Well, that's it for us here at round number 5 of SRAM Downhill Southeast at Snowshoe. We've had a great weekend up here. Thank you so much for the mountain staff for their hospitality. Thank you to SRAM, Maxxis, Worldwide Cyclery, and GoPro for making this year's series possible. We'll see you at Beach Mountain for finals.